Anyways, let's jump into our last and final topic. We're talking about the Dallas Mavericks and the NBA draft, one of our favorite topics here on the Fast Break podcast. We know it's one of your guys' as well. And what we were talking about is which prospects best fit the Dallas Mavericks. And we're going to do 3 scenarios first, and then we're going to talk about which overall prospects best fit. But the scenarios we're going to have is that if the Dallas Mavericks have the first pick, they have the third pick, and the 5th pick. The reason why we're doing those numbers is because right now Memphis is slotted at Tickathon.com as the 7th team. 7th team, at least lottery-wise, and they are only 3 games back of the number 1 pick. So these teams are tightly packed from 7 to 1. So anything could change. So the Mavericks can fall, Mavericks can go up, they could stay the same. So we're going to do 3, 1, and 5 in that order because right now Mavericks are at 3. So Ricky, Mavericks are slotted at 3 using your big board, your mock draft, whatever you want. Who would be on the board? And out of those prospects that are on the board, who would best fit the Dallas Mavericks?
Using who I would have, well,
whatever. Like, who do you think would go 1?
I'm going to say DeAndre Ayton, and the only reason why
would be the best fit for Dallas at 3.
It would be because
would he be around?
Well, that's the thing because the one that I'm looking at, and the reason why me personally not going to give up who my 1 or 2 would be is because I'm going to tease you guys. You guys can come back in 2 weeks and figure that out because that's when our mock draft comes out.
Could always change.
It's Valentine's Day that week is when our next mock draft will be. But I'm looking at Tankathon. They got Luka, then they got Trae Young. This team, you've got Harrison Barnes, so the 3's locked down.
Yep.
You drafted Dennis Smith, the 2's locked down. Like I saw an article where it's like, should they draft Trae Young? It's like, well, you got your point guard locked down. You don't need to go ahead and get another point guard. Luka would work, but at 3, I would go for a big guy, and I would go Ayton over Bagley because that would be it would be either Ayton, Bagley, or Bamba, and I would go Ayton over both of those guys. Out of
those 2 guys, Luka and Trae Young, because both of those guys technically don't fit because Luka, size-wise, is a wing player, so you could possibly put him at the 2 defensively, and then offensively he'd be a 1. So that's really going over. It's encroaching on Harrison Barnes defensively with the 3 spot, and it's encroaching on Dennis Smith at the 1 spot, at least offensively. And Dennis Smith isn't that great of a spot-up shooter, so I don't really know if he would be working as a 2. And Trae Young, I don't know if he's big enough to be a 2, and he's a great passer as well. So I mean, out of those 2 guards, which guy do you think fits best with the Mavericks, Trae Young or Luka?
First, I want to say it all depends on what's going on with Wesley Matthews. Like if Matthews accepts his player op, then it's like okay, we don't really need either of those guys because we got the 2 locked down.
But then again, Wes is like over 30 years old. You'd rather go with a young guy for the future.
If we don't, and usually whenever we talk about player ops, we assume that they're going to deny it to try to get more money.
Yeah.
I would lean towards Luka only because of the fact that I feel like he could play the 2 better than Trae Young could. That would be the debate in my head.
Do you agree with that?
I mean, I don't think he's going to play the 2 regardless. I think that I would do Trae Young and Dennis Smith Jr. as your backcourt, and you can have them flip-flop whichever way you want to. I just think that gives you one of those dangerous backcourts. You have the hyper-athleticism of Dennis Smith, and you have Trae Young who's just going to take shots from anywhere on that fucking court, and he's an excellent distributor. I just think that pairing would be really sweet. I love Luka, but I don't think that he would end up playing the 2. He's too big. He doesn't have the explosive speed. At this point in his career, he can always get that, but it's just a matter of like where he's at size-wise. I think that he's going to be kind of more the Gordon Hayward role. He's going to be a 3, but he's going to be the primary ball handler, you know? So yeah, honestly, I would lean more towards going for like someone like Trae Young over Luka for that.
So you'd rather go Trae Young over Luka for if you're picking between those 2 guards on Dallas.
Yeah, for that fit, yeah.
And then at the 3rd spot, using whatever you want to use. So if you're using Tankathon where he has Luka and Trae going off the board at that 3 spot, I mean, is it DeAndre Ayton like without a doubt? Then
Ayton seems like the easy guy to push because they literally don't have a center. Like there is not a guy like they
have Nerlens technically right now, but they're not playing him, and he's not doing anything, and he's also going to be a free agent.
The line has been drawn in the sand, and he's not coming back. He's not welcome there right now. It's just a pain in the ass. I think Ayton, he still has amazing potential out there, and I think that's worth a shot at 3. Like if he's on the board, take him. This draft is such a weird, volatile place because like we've got 5 guys in the discussion for like the number 1 overall, and then that fills out randomly as you go. So if we're saying Luka, Trae off the board, I'm looking at Ayton, Bagley, and Porter left. Yeah, I like going with Ayton. Go with a massive big with huge upside and with amazing scoring potential.
Well, let's say Ayton's off the board then. Who are you going with at 3? For the Mavericks, who do you think fits best? Because then are you going to go with a Luka, a Trey, or are you going to go again back to that center spot or power forward spot and go with a Jaren Jackson, or are you going to go with like a Mo Bamba?
I like Jaren Jackson better than Bamba at the moment, but at the same time, like I'd run Luka at the 3 and Harrison at the 4. Mm-hmm. Like I have no problem with that.
He's got the size. Harrison does.
I think that actually is a really nice fit for them. Yeah. So if Luka's on the board at 3 and Ayton's gone, then I would take Luka. If Trey Young's on the board at 3, I would take Trey. Basically, it's one of those 3 would be my 3 priorities. Like I think the 1 through 3 is like locked in my head. But like you said, Triple J on the outside. If somehow something happens, there's a shakeup. I like his fit, and I think that he is a guy who people are still underrating right now. And we'll see, as tournament time closes in and what happens going forward. But like he's a guy I'd keep my eye on the outside.
Well, like 2 things. First off, with me, I feel like that. If I'm a Maverick fan and if you're sitting at 3 where the Mavericks are right now, I would kind of hope that Luka and Trey go off the board first, so then I wouldn't have that. It's like, oh, that decision's taken out of my hands kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about it because I look at their backcourt and it's like really the only ones under contract right now for sure for next year, Dwight Powell, then Dirk if he's going to come back for next year because anything could happen, but they have the club option could take, and then Keebler in the front court where it's like Nerlens is up, you have all your other guys up as well, McRoberts too. That's why I would go Ayton. And the one thing that I was looking, this is from SB Nation Mavs site, Mavs Moneyball. They asked a question talking about Luka. Mm-hmm. One of their guys said that to go with the young talent, he fits perfectly with Dennis Smith and Barnes and has the ability to play 3 positions.
Yeah.
Athleticism may be the question, but he's clearly the most progressed prospect as of today.
Yeah.
End quote. And that's why if I had to do it, I'd go Luka, but really I would hope that they are gone. Then I could focus on the front court, which is really the big question when I look at that team.
Yeah, if I'm the Mavericks and I'm looking at this from situation, if Ayton's on the board, it's clear, go with Ayton. Even if he's lacking defensively, go with DeAndre Ayton. That's pretty clear to me. If Ayton's off the board, and let's say Luka's off the board, then you're looking at Trey Young, you're looking at Michael Porter Jr., you're looking at Mo Bamba, you're looking at Jaren Jackson, Miles Bridges, whoever you want to throw out there. Bagley as well. I think it comes down to Bamba and Bagley. Because Bagley obviously has that upside, same as Mo as well. But Bagley has that athleticism and that upside, and pairing him and Dennis Smith Jr. would be freakish with those 2 players athletically. And then also Mo Bamba, throwing him in there because I think Mo Bamba has the ability to become a defensive monster, possibly a defensive first-team player in the NBA, and also he's showing a part of that offensive side that looks absolutely dangerous. He might not be as athletic as Marvin Bagley, but he might age well and fit into the NBA better, and that's why I would say those 2 guys are come down to the picks.
I would kind of be on the other side of that, where like I was surprised, you of all people, because of how high you've been on Michael Porter Jr. throughout. If Luka and Ayton are gone 1-2, yeah, I get Bagley and Bamba there, but I would have a serious thought of let's just take Michael Porter there, move Barnes over the 2, have Porter, Barnes, and we'll have Porter, Barnes, and Dennis Smith in our backcourt and on the wings, and we'll figure out the front court when that happens.
Why wouldn't you just put Barnes to the 4 or Porter to the 4?
Yeah,
those guys are massive.
Or either way,
both those
that's
guys
the
are
thing.
6'8",
like
6'11".
I was surprised
Porter's
that
like
the
6'11".
fact.
Yeah,
I was surprised at the fact that you said, "Oh, Bagley, Bamba," and just kind of pushed Porter off to the side.
Well, I don't know. If you're looking at Dennis Smith Jr., who came in with 2 bum knees, or not bum knees, but he had ACL tears, right? That's not a guy that I want to take a shot on, because especially with the injury, and we don't know if he's coming back. He hasn't come back yet. Porter Jr., I wouldn't take a shot injury wise. If I am the Mavericks as well. You look at Dirk, hasn't had the healthiest knees as well. You've had a lot of injury issues out there in Dallas. I wouldn't be going to Michael Porter Jr. if I am the Mavericks. That's why I'm looking at Bamba, who could fill out that 5 spot.
Back and not the knees.
Yeah, an injury's an injury. I'm saying injury problems. I'm not saying like his knees are cursed. I'm saying that injuries are injuries. That's the one thing that I'm saying. I'm not saying I would just stay away from that if I was the Mavericks. I think there's some bad mojo going out there. I think Cuban bought
But I
the
mean, it's
wrong
one
thing
more
or
year of
something.
the tank. It's just an extension of the tank if he's not, excellent.
Well, and the thing is, I think that Dennis Smith as well. I think Porter.
I don't think anyone expected Dennis Smith to play this well coming off of those injuries.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing, those were in high school though, and he came back and he's looked fantastic ever since those NC State days. I just think Dennis Smith can be the guy. I think he could be your one, and I think Porter would be a one as well. Where Bamba and Bagley might be able to fit into that 2 spot a little bit better. I know Bagley wants to be the one right now at Duke, and that's why he's taking so many damn shots and leading that offense. At Grayson Allen's not. But so far, I think Mo Bamba would probably be the best fit at 3, just because
He's got the measurables, man.
I think he's got the measurables. He fits in well personality-wise with Dennis Smith Jr. Defensively, he's a stud, so he can pick up anything Dennis Smith isn't. I mean, obviously, they're two completely different players, but at least he can at least be defensively great, and Dennis Smith can be offensively great, and they can both be very good, both defensively and offensively. I feel like they'll be able to pick up each other's slacks, at least star-wise. I really like Mo Bamba to the Mavericks. So at 3, I would probably lean Mo Bamba over everybody else if Ayton and Luka are off the board.
See that?
If Luka and Ayton are there, though, I'll go Ayton over Luka, and then Luka if Ayton's not there.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts. But let's move on now to the number 1 pick, because that's the interesting thing. Because right now, half a game back, 2-8 in their last 10, lost 5 straight. If they have the number 1 overall pick, is it still Ayton, Ricky?
No, I would go with me. I would have the debate between Luka and Ayton, but at 1, I would probably, if you put a gun to my head at this point, I would lean towards Luka solely on the fact of, you know what, I'll figure out the front court and free agency. You win in this league. You win titles in this league with your backcourt. And just add backcourt help, and we'll figure out who plays where once we got you guys in the offseason, in preseason.
We know you hate Luka, Dave, so you're probably going Ayton, right?
Yeah, you read me like a book, man. Honestly, I joke around about the Trae Young shit. Like, I get it. Like, he's short, and he is defensively not uber gifted, but that one just screams like interesting, and Mark Cuban, like, we're going to go outside the box on this shit. But I think Luka's the walkaway winner for the 1 still in my mind. I think a lot of his game, I think the more people are seeing of him, the more people are starting to respect what he's doing at his age. With his frame, how built out he is at age 18, and it's just crazy, what he's able to do. I think that, right now he's the walkaway 1 in my mind. And the thing is, I look at this team and I go, you mentioned, Dennis Smith Jr. is like star A, and you're mentioning offense on this team, and I'm like, Harrison Barnes at best is like a 2.
Well, I'm saying
B.
like future.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I'm saying
don't
like
see Harrison
even like
being
15 years, 10 years down the line. If these guys are able to stay together, like Harrison Barnes is going to be here in 10 years.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, my thought was like Harrison Barnes, like on a great team, is probably your 2 or 3. Like he's your 2nd or 3rd option. He's still a very good player, and he's just able to have more volume because of the lineup they're currently rolling with. So I think adding Luka to that team, adding another excellent passer, I just think that fit would be perfect at 1 for them. It's too hard to pass up.
See, the thing is with Trae Young, I mean, defensively, I don't know. I mean, looking at him in that Alabama game, he did okay against Colin Sexton. He wasn't great. And then you look at him again playing against the Trap. He was turning the ball over a lot, didn't have a ton of help. So I don't know if I'm going Trae Young with my number 1 overall pick. And then I look at Ayton. I look at his deficiencies defensively as a worry, because if you're dealing with Nerlens Noel and you're not able to get that guy going, Ayton, you're not going to be able. You're not going to be able to motivate him. So that's something that I would push Ayton to the side. And then you look at Luka, and great, he's beating up CSK Moscow. Awesome, great job, kid. We're really proud of you. So if I am thinking like Mark Cuban, if I am really picking the best prospect for my team, I'm going away from Trae Young at number 1. I'm going away from DeAndre Ayton at number 1. I'm going away from Luka Doncic. I'm staying in the heart of Texas. I'm going to Mo Bamba, number 1.
No.
So, yeah.
You're like, seriously.
Let's move on now to the 5th pick.
No.
We're going to move on now to the 5th pick.
I want you to defend that one.
I really want.
We're going to move on now to the 5th pick.
I'm not even saying it like anything stupid. I really want to hear like why you're thinking that.
I just told you.
But is like
just told you.
Would that'd be one hell of a reach, would it not be? Because like you could get him at 5. Or you could probably get him.
Well, let's talk about thinking him at 5. Let's move on now to the 5th pick. If Mavericks were slotted at 5, who do you think is the best prospect that might be available?
Mo Bamba. Like that's what I would like.
See, Mo Bamba is the best player available.
No matter what,
for
1 through 5, it's Mo Bamba.
Why couldn't you guys pick up that joke? It was a joke.
I don't know.
I was just trying to point out the negatives to all 3 of those players, so I could say Mo Bamba for every single spot.
Maybe you were thinking Mo Bamba, but no. Like seriously, at 5, getting to the point now.
I hate explaining jokes, guys. Just run with it.
Doncic young, Ayton will probably be off the board. The thing is for me, like the Kings, I don't think Tankathon-ism with Bagley. I don't like that. I think they'll probably go with a Porter. I think everything might be expended to where it's like, you know what? We'll take Bamba, get that backcourt. Like you said, he'll bring defense there to where Dennis Smith can bring the offense. Bamba can be the defense down low. But by some reason, if Michael Porter is there at 5, I go ahead and take him because, like, I'm on the page with you, Sean, to where if Michael Porter was completely healthy, he'd be my number 1 pick. He'd be number 1 on my big board for sure. And even without the injury, I would say number 1 on my big board. Number 1 pick is a little shaky, but at 5, I'll roll that injury question. I'd take Michael Porter or Bamba.
Okay. Dave, who are you going at 5?
I think Bamba is kind of the safe answer if he's there. I just feel like, I don't know, I'm probably riding.
Why do you like Jaren Jackson over him? Because that's what you're trying to get
That's what I'm riding. Like, I'm riding Jaren Jackson right now.
I mean, Jackson's on the better team. He's playing in a Michigan State team right now that is higher in the rankings, look like a more complete team, have Miles Bridges, my buddy down low, Nick Wright. No, not Nick Wright. That's the bum from FS1.
Not a bum anymore.
Nick Ward, my buddy down low, big dude, number 33.
Sure.
Nick Ward, great player. He was a great player. He's a tank down there. Miles Bridges, Nick Ward. You got my dude out there, Jeremy Langford as well. Or Joshua Langford. Jeremy Langford is the old Michigan State running back. Joshua Langford. I mean, he's playing He's playing on a great team. So I mean, do you think that doesn't factor into Jaren Jackson's ability out there?
Well, that's kind of the question: is how much of this is the team? How much of this is him individually? And we've seen teams kick out 3, 4 first-round picks, with old Duke or Kentucky teams, and those later guys don't pan out. It's really 1 or 2 guys carrying the rest of them to that first-round grade. But I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is not, one of the leftover guys. I think he is the premier guy, and I didn't see it coming. Coming into the year, we were looking at Bridges, we were looking at a couple of these guys, and to me, it came out. I'm not a big Michigan State fan, so I didn't follow his recruiting very heavily, though. So maybe I'm just way off on that. I just think he's got the physicals. He has a good touch with the ball, and I think that he has a knack, or not a knack, a good rim presence. Like, he understands where he's at and defensively where he can reach without exposing himself too much. Like, it's hard to explain that, but I think he has a great idea of how to play down low defense without giving away free baskets to guys. And forcing them into taking harder shots than they have to. So I just think defensively he's there. Offensively he is good enough that I think he's he's better offensively than Bamba. He's not better defensively, but he's not far off. Bamba has the has the physical, the wingspan and everything. Like, that's amazing. But I just think Jaren Jackson Jr. is more of a whole package. And that to me has better upside.
It's funny, on the first try on takeathon.com, it's sim lottery. Weirdly enough, Dallas ended up at the 5th spot. So Sacramento ended up at 1. I feel like they have to take DeAndre Ayton because, best player available. You have to slot him in at the center spot. I know Willie Cauley-Stein's there, but you get the youth there. If you are
sure it's not Bamba.
If you're DeAndre Ayton, you also could go Luka Doncic. So let's go with DeAndre Ayton though, and then to Orlando. I'm gonna give a shout out to our boy Vegberg. I gotta learn how to pronounce his name. Maybe I'm saying it right, but Vegberg, he wants to lose for Luka. So Orlando ends up getting Luka Doncic. And then you look at 3, Phoenix ends up there. Weirdly enough, I think they take a shot at my boy Michael Porter Jr. I think they realized that at that 3 spot and at that 4 spot as well. I mean, he could go either out, especially with them having TJ Warren. They will go with Michael Porter Jr. I feel like they believe in him. I also could see them going Colin Sexton because I think he's a better player than Trae Young. So, actually, let's give them Colin Sexton at 3.
Whoa.
So Phoenix takes Colin Sexton at 3, which leaves Atlanta to take Trae Young. Crazy. Off the board, on the board, Mo Bamba goes to Dallas at 5. And weirdly enough, in the heart of Texas, he's averaging 14.7 points per game and 4.6 blocks as well. So Mo Bamba, weirdly enough, fits for the Dallas Mavericks at 1, 3, and 5.
Here's what I'm going to do.
Well done, Sean.
I'm going back to being serious here.
I am being serious. Come on. Let me be serious real quick.
Okay.
Mo Bamba defensively is an absolute
I get that.
monster.
I'm just trying to fit him in all the time.
You also see the ability to shoot not only from the free throw line as a big guy shooting 77% from the line, and then also from the outside shooting around 30%. Mo Bamba has these skills. I'm not saying he's going to be a Joel Embiid because he's not there size-wise, but he also has the time to put on that size as well.
Well, we didn't think Joel Embiid was going to be Joel Embiid.
No, but you look at Joel Embiid in college, he was shooting like 74% from the free throw line. I mean, offensively, he's not there yet. He's not like DeAndre Ayton, but DeAndre Ayton's a brick shithouse. Mo Bamba right now,
he could be 30.
Mo Bamba right now, he's a stick. And Mo Bamba still has the ability to fill out, and I think offensively he's not that great with maintaining the ball, but he's also not that good on a he's not on a great Texas team, so he doesn't have that great talent around him. So I think offensively he still has a ton of room to grow, and defensively he's already there. And then when he gets bigger and stronger, he's just going to be even more like monstrous out there. He has a knack of blocking shots out there.
Do you have like a pro comparison you could kind of give? I'm just curious to fill it in. Like, do you feel he fills in like the Gobert style? Like, because that's the one because of the length I've heard.
I feel like he could be better offensively than Rudy Gobert, to be honest with you. I mean, Gobert isn't dangerous offensively.
Yeah.
He's okay offensively. I mean, he could be a guy that, can work around the basket for you. But I feel like Mo Bamba could even stretch it out more. And I think, if he's able to fill out, I think it's going to be easier to compare him. But I think there's a lot of Joe in him, to be honest with you. I think that defensively, he's there. And we've seen Joe this year be a defensive star. I mean, he's one of the best defensive bigs in the league. And it took a while for Joe to really stretch out and develop his game.
Yeah.
Joe was always great offensively, at least down low. He was a force like Ayton was. But I think Mo Bamba, it's tough because I don't know how he will fill out. But I think his ceiling could be Joe. And right now, he could be healthy Joe. So that's the coolest thing about him. I'll take a healthy Joe for Mo Bamba. So I think like floor wise, maybe Rudy Gobert. I would probably say that, or like maybe DeAndre Jordan, like with his defensive abilities and then offensive abilities.
Do you want to hear
at least
Bleacher Reports?
running some rims?
They got Rudy and Nerlens. Rudy/Nerlens is what they put down.
I could see Nerlens.
I mean, Nerlens is the twig who's never going to fill out, it seems. So, yeah.
I could see Nerlens.
See that.
That was pretty good.
I got a wild card if they're at 5.
Mo Bamba.
What if, no, not Mo Bamba. What if they go with Mikal Bridges? Or Michael Bridges, however you say it. Mikal Bridges.
Mikal Bridges.
What if they go with him? Because the thing that I think about, and I don't know how completely true it is because he backed off on it. I'm going to give a little insight into Jake's kind of Twitter messages with us. Basically called him Klay Thompson 2.0. Said he's an oversized guard with a big wingspan. He's a lockdown defender and he can hit outside shots. Also, if he has to, he can take a guy one-on-one.
Read what I say next.
Yeah, I get what you said.
No, just read what no, because I'll answer your question.
Okay, Sean then said, I don't know if he would be a top tier like Klay, but he could be a great starter. His numbers are impressive, but his usage in college isn't that of a star. But you can take him at 5, have him develop into that 2, and even if he's not fully Klay Thompson 2.0, just the fact that we can have a defensive stop guy at the 2 could benefit the Mavericks.
Yeah, but Mo Bamba's better. Mo Bamba could be your stopper at the 5.
Mo Bamba 1 through 5.
I think Mikal Bridges could definitely be on the table for Matt Dallas if they reach that 5 spot, especially if guys like Trae Young, Luka, Ayton, and then honestly, maybe if Mo Bamba's off the board at 5 too, then yeah, I could totally see Bridges being a possibility there.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say? You said honestly.
Honestly, I was like, I think Mikal is probably a reach still. I haven't seen enough out of him that I would go top 5 pick.
I think he has all the tools, and he's shown that so far, but he's also on a really good Villanova team, and he's not having the usage of a star. Like, you look at him and Klay's numbers in college, very similar.
But he wouldn't have to be the star in Dallas. Well, Dennis Smith would be your star.
But the thing is that the thing is Klay had so much pressure on him in college, and he had to learn how to be the guy. Yeah. And I understand he didn't have to be the guy at Villanova, but also I think it plays into the fact that when you're stepping into the NBA, you always have to have that ability to be the guy on any given night. And I know Mikal Bridges has done that in college, but he hasn't been able to be the guy every single night for his team. And because he's had so many great players to rely around, where Klay was always the guy at Washington State. So I think that's something that plays into a factor. I mean, with Steph. Steph was always the guy at Davidson. You look at most of these NBA stars on their team; they were the guy in college. And I understand even if they're.
I mean, I don't take huge stock into that though.
I wouldn't either, but I'm saying the reason why you can't look at Klay Thompson and Mikal Bridges' numbers in college and say, oh, he's the next Klay Thompson is because their usage was completely different, and Klay was shooting more, taking more shots, and had more pressure on him.
And with me, I'm not even looking at the numbers. I'm just looking at what he could be. And, I mean, we talked about, really it's come down to 2 positions.
But Klay was also chucking up threes. Yeah. Mikal Bridges is most likely getting more open threes.
It's come down to 2 positions for the Mavericks. Either go for the 5, like an Ayton or like you said, a Bamba, or go for the 2. And if you're at the 5, the best guy that would fit the 2, I would say, like obviously if you're at 1 or 3,
he's a wing.
You're going to go with Luka, but I would say Mikhail could fit the 2 for them better than a Luka.
I don't disagree. I think he fits better just because you'll get 2 ball handlers. Yeah, you'll get 2 ball handlers in Luka and Dennis Smith. But I think Mikhail, if Luka's off, I think he could definitely be a fit there for the Mavericks. But let's just jump out. Let's go back to overall prospects because that's going to be the final question. We're running out of time too. Who's the best prospect for the Dallas Mavericks?
I think the best prospect for them,
overall.
Yes, overall.
I'm still going to land out.
Who's the guy that they need to take?
The best fit for them would probably be. I fucking hate Ricky. If I agree
just
with
pick
Ayton,
one.
I'll say Ayton.
That's what I'm going to say, DeAndre Ayton.
Why are you so upset?
Because I don't want to agree with Ricky. You know,
that's rude.
I
think he's got to. I think I'm not agreeing with him because he's wrong. It's Mo Bamba. He's been dominating in the Big 12. You look at his numbers so far: 4.7 blocks per game in the Big 12. Get out of here, Mo Bamba! Averaging 15 points per game. What? Ridiculous! Shooting over 56% from the field, and 74% from the free throw line. And also averaging around 36% from 3 in the Big 12. One of the best basketball conferences in college basketball. Come on.
You know what else goes towards your argument?
What?
If he didn't foul out of that Duke game, they would have beat Duke.
If he didn't foul out of that Duke game. And also he fouled out of the Texas Tech game, too. Only at 12 points. Could you imagine the potential if he was a little bit better defensively?
They would have beat Duke in overtime if he was still guarding Bagley.
Mo Bamba, baby. Number 1 overall. Gonna happen. Only to Dallas. Let us know who you think. And the camera's out. Who cares? We're
it's going to the logo.
Let us know who you think the Dallas Mavericks should be taking at 1, 3, 5, or just in general who they should be taking. If you think there is a for sure prospect, they should be taking like Mo Bamba. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up for the Fast Break Podcast. We love you guys. If you're listening on Blog Talk Radio and iTunes, if you listen through this whole thing through how long has this been? This has been
it's been a long time.
Been about 60 minutes of podcast time. Or if you're like Jake, download it on YouTube. We appreciate you. We really love you for listening through this whole thing. If you're listening at segments, we also appreciate you at home. Just a couple of housekeeping things because I forgot at the beginning. Check out mostvaluablepodcast.com. We revamped it. It looks pretty damn sweet, and we ought to thank our Patreons for that, for giving us the supplies there. Also, check in the description for MVP t-shirts. You can pick up yourself some MVP swag, and also check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. If you want to join Jake and step on either the Onside Kick, the Fast Break Podcast, the Rick and Johnny Podcast, the Patreon Podcast with Christian jumped down as well.
Yeah, I was surprised that Christian wanted to be on it.
Check out the $10 tier on patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. And also, last and final thing, if you're listening on iTunes, if you have an iTunes account, go over there and give us 5 stars either on the Fast Break, the Onside Kick, the Rick and Johnny, the Primetime Podcast, a Graphic Conversation, or you can give it to all of them as well. We'd really appreciate your help for that. But for Dave Oster, for Ricky Widmer, for our special guest, Jake Neverman, and me, Sean Anderson, we love you, and we'll see you next time.